Hey everybody, it's Mr. Enoch. It is Wednesday, April 8th, and just here to go over what we're doing for today. So if you go in the enrichment folder, we are all the way down on day 8, Wednesday, April 8th. So I'm going to go over directions first. So directions, now this one isn't on the directions, but I would like you to continue to read about 15 to 30 minutes a day. I've actually been reading a lot more this week. I'm reading a series called The King Killer. It's kind of a fantasy novel. It's about a guy who runs an inn, but he actually has like this life as a adventurer and a really interesting person. And it's good. It's a good fantasy novel. I might actually put it up as a recommendation. I know a lot of you guys like that genre of fantasy. Um, but after you get done reading 15, 30 minutes, please review the art folder that's in here. The art folder has a list of about 7 pieces of classic art. And I just want you to pick what you find the most interesting, your quote unquote favorite piece. And then in the discussion post, please share what piece of art did you select. Today's going to be based around a piece of art I give you. It's not going to be based around the novels you guys have been reading. You've been doing a great job with those. But for today and tomorrow, we're going to do some work with things related to creative writing, but not necessarily related to the books you guys have been reading. So in the discussion board, share what piece you're gonna write about. Share why, what stood out to you about this piece. Then I would like you to draft a creative written piece, and I'll go over that in the assignment board. So this is the folder with all the art. I'm not going to go through and look at each of these, but you can see the titles. There's the Singing Butler, the Gulf Stream, the Volunteers, Cafe Terrace at Night, or American Progress, and then we saw the Daughter of the Minotaur, which is very surreal kind of painting. So you pick one of those, post to the board. Which piece did you select? Why? What stood out about it to you? What did you enjoy about the piece? And then the last thing I need you to do today is the artwork writing piece. So I need you to do one of the following. You can create a poem capturing the imagery of the piece. So make sure the poem's at least 15 lines in length. Make sure you capture the imagery of the artwork in the poem. So what does the scene look like? What would it sound like? What would it smell like? What would it taste like? What would it feel like? Who are some of the characters that would be in there? What would they say? What are they doing? Try to capture some of that. You're not just describing it, you're just trying to write a poem about the piece. The second option is writing a scene. So you would pick the piece, and then you'd pick a point of view, and you write a half page to a full page, either handwritten or typed, don't really mind what you do, about the piece of art. So make sure you capture a single point of view. So it could be first person, could be third person limited, could be third person omniscient, and then present this short little story or scene. I like to call it a scene because I don't think it's going to have all the elements of the story. That kind of explains why the scene's happening. So some things you could do, you could just capture the characters and what they're like. So maybe just do kind of a character portrait, who these people are, because in a single page, you're not necessarily going to get a beginning, middle, and end of a story, but you could get a little slice of a story. And that's what this is about, kind of writing creatively, capturing a little bit of a slice of a creative writing. You can capture the conflict. So what's a problem going on between the characters in this artwork? Or maybe a resolution. So like, what are they doing? And how is that being resolved, that conflict? Again, don't feel like you have to do all 3 of those things in a written piece, because if you're writing for a half page, you might just describe a character, or you might just describe the conflict between 2 characters, and get that across in a creative way. Don't feel like it has to hit all of those elements, because if you hit all those elements, you're starting to write a full story, and that might be a page or 2 or 3 by the time you're done writing. If you want to, feel free to do that, but at the same time, don't feel the need to go and do that. Be creative. There's no one right answer for this. And again, just like the poem, try to capture the imagery of the scene. What does the scene look like? What would it sound like? What would it smell like? What would it taste like? What would it feel like? What are the emotions involved in the scene? And you guys are all very creative, smart people, more than capable of doing that. Little note, next week we are moving into a different phase of instruction. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. I'm going to have more details for you hopefully tomorrow. I'm making some things for our class. If you saw, I posted, I have two options right now. I could do a novel, which won't necessarily be reading the whole novel, but it'll be reading elements of the novel, capturing different pieces. Or we could do a series of, call it Keystone Prep, but what it really would be is a mini unit based around the genre of horror and Gothic literature. So I sent out that message the other day about what would you rather read. Um, I might send that out again. I want you guys' feedback. I want to know what you think as we plan out the rest of the year. I also want to thank you guys for the great work you've been doing, and hopefully keep getting that same level of work. You guys are doing an awesome job. Have a good day, everybody, and talk to you later.